Good afternoon. Um, my name is Gareth Miller, and I am Head of Change at Artemis Investment Management, and I'm also the co-lead of the Diversity Project's Smart Working Workstream. I'd like to start by thanking Andrew for his warm welcome and to Simon and Atixis for your generous hospitality in hosting us here today. I'd like to thank too the speakers who are participating on our three panel discussions this afternoon. This is pretty exciting for us. It's actually our first collaborative activity as part of a new partnership between the Diversity Project and Women in Banking and Finance, and one which I hope will be the first of many between our two organisations. Personally, for me, I'm passionate about advocating for change in diversity, equity, and inclusion, and my primary focus is on promoting and advancing flexible working practices and a flexible working agenda across our industry. And when we talk about flexible working, it's not just about a hybrid working model, which understandably has been a focus of late. There are many forms that flexible working can take. It can describe a place of work, for example, working from home, or a type of contract such as part-time, flexi-time, condensed hours, job sharing, or shift work. I continue to see challenges in an ever-changing environment with implementing a strategic and inclusive long-term framework for flexible working. And we're going to be talking about this across this afternoon in our panel discussions. At the Diversity Project, our mission is to encourage organisations to attract and retain the best and most diverse talent in order to cultivate inclusive and multi-generational workplaces. Flexible working is a key enabler of business continuity and an essential component of a successful business, and it's important that managers within firms are empowered support flexible working in their teams. First slide. To that end, last year at the Diversity Project, we introduced our hybrid working guide for managers as we sought to address the challenges managers and leaders face as organisations embed and continue to develop business as usual working practices. Our teams conducted research with a number of organisations within the savings and investment industry in order to develop and share best practice in this area and offer practical support for managers at different stages of hybrid readiness and experience. Flexible working will continue to evolve as organisations discover what works best for them over the longer term, and as the impact on culture, performance, equity, and productivity becomes more apparent, there's no doubt that managers will be critical in shaping the success and evolution of this huge transition in the way that we work. This year, we're focusing on amplifying people's stories on flexible working through a social media campaign, Flex Beyond Hybrid, which is being launched for this event, with production of short profiles on smart working from both men and women for social media content to gain further perspective from those in flexible working arrangements and to show what, how, and why this works for them. We're hoping this initiative will highlight different flexible working styles and show that there's more to smart working than hybrid working, and also to demonstrate to employers the value of flexible working. If you'd like to be involved in this initiative, please do contact me either by speaking to me after the event here or scan the QR code. I'd be happy to talk to you about what we're doing, what we're trying to achieve, and how you could be part of this. Earlier this year, a survey by the Recruiter Brewing called Is Hybrid Working polled around about 1,200 people. It showed almost half wanted to be in the office 2 to 3 days a week. 26% wanted to be fully remote, and 22% wanted to be in the office 1 day a week. Only 3% were votes for a return to full-time office work. Similar research from Jenny Siegel for her excellent book called On Motivation, Purpose and Hybrid Working, which was published a few months ago, showed the majority of individuals who participated in the research were expected to be in the office for 3 days a week. And along with those expected to be in the office for 2 days a week, equalled around 80% of all hybrid working policies. At that time, very few firms, but not zero, were mandating a 5-day return to work, despite many managers being clear they wanted their teams to come into the office regularly, with a number advocating return to 5 days a week. It would certainly suggest there's a mismatch between what employees and employers want in terms of number of days in the office and more widely in terms of flexible working options, which was shown in the latest research from the CIPD, which was published just before the summer. This concluded that 53% of employees said remote working is key when looking for a new role, and 46% of employers said the number of people wanting to work from home has increased over the last 12 months, with around 3/5 now saying that flexible working arrangements are available in their current role. However, 6% of employees said they've left a job in the last year specifically due to a lack of flexible working, and 12% have changed their careers or profession due to a lack of flexible working options within the sector. Looking at the next slide, when asked what arrangement people would like to see, the highest number would like to see a 4-day week, followed by informal flexibility, flexi time, and then working from home. It's clear there's unmet demand for different types of flexible working and a disconnect between what people want and what organisations currently offer. More recently, a number of firms have mandated increased time in the office for different groups of employees, some with sanctions for non-compliance. Some firms are saying flexibility is important to them, but it all sounds like a very mixed message. At our partners, Women in WIBEF, the Accelerating Change Together, or ACT research project, has been running for 3 years now and has generated both the Good Finance Framework and the Good Finance Toolkit. The Good Finance Framework was based on interviews with women and men who work in financial services in London and a large qualitative study called 100 Diverse Voices, The Future of Work, which sets down suggested actions that an organisation can take to create a more inclusive employee culture. In April this year, the Good Finance Toolkit was published, which is a good finance how-to manual and helps partners in the financial services sector to apply the Good Finance Framework by providing clear instructions on how firms and their individual leaders can operationalise the Good Finance Framework. The first ACT survey in November 2020 showed that those with more flexibility in where and how they work also work longer hours, more satisfied, and exhibit a lower intention to leave, evidencing quite clearly that heightened flexibility for all workers leads to both greater productivity and happier workers. It demonstrated that flexibility, normalised during COVID lockdowns, seems to have eased the friction between work and life to a great degree. In the past, female employees cited work-life balance as the least satisfying aspect of their job, with around 33% raising this as a concern. But interestingly, this is no longer cited as a top issue among current female employees. Sadly, women are more likely to think that taking flexibility into their roles will negatively impact their career. But as it becomes the norm, those preconceptions can also change. In the 2021 Good Finance Framework, every woman in the study who had children spoke of their experience juggling work and family life. All the women in the survey who were senior directors or managing directors in front office roles and had children either had a full-time nanny or a family member taking on caring responsibilities. In contrast, the most senior women in communications and compliance had highly mixed experiences, which included relying on external childcare provision. Mixed experiences coping with work-life balance were also relayed by women in other roles where they had children. It seemed to be driven by 3 primary factors: personal circumstance at home, access to flexible working, and their line manager. The subsequent ACT research, published in 2021 and then in 2023, presented evidence that highlighted the heightened flexibility was strongly correlated with improved productivity. Additionally, it reported that heightened flexibility also disproportionately benefited women. The second-year research expanded on some of the earlier findings by listening to the 100 diverse voices and identified the importance of flexibility between predetermined norms and the preferred mode of working in financial services as remote first. This isn't to say that workers never wish to come into the office. Rather, those that interviewed wanted to purposefully come into the office to satisfy operations and to collaborate with colleagues. Research from the Good Finance Toolkit suggested there is no one-size-fits-all model. Rather, the implication is that an experimental approach is the optimal one where a team varies the amount of at-home versus on-site working and evaluates both what works for them and those that they serve. For 2023, The focus is now on carrying out roadshows across the country with their corporate partners to showcase how they can actually implement the Good Finance Toolkit with a view to measuring the productivity outcome of this toolkit in year 4. In closing, we have a number of key objectives for this event. To help all of you with the complexity of hybrid working and its potential unintended consequences. To showcase the many different ways of flexible working that your firms could consider. To help demonstrate the benefits to you and your company of implementing flexible working. And finally, to show the value of flexible working in building more collaborative working environments as part of the future of work and new ways of working. I'm really looking forward to this afternoon and what our speakers have to say. Many thanks. I look forward to meeting many of you later on today.